Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Innovation Conversation. Today we are joined by Pedro Bandeira.
Thank you, Ricardo. It is a pleasure to be here. Thank you very much for having me.
It's a pleasure. Pedro, would you like to introduce yourself to the audience, please?
Yeah, sure, of course. So I just I started. I was a nurse before, and then I started my own companies in a healthcare sector, in online courses, also a company in consultancy for innovation and agri-tech company. And
Hmm.
after those four companies, I started investing as a business angel, and I joined. Um, Today is my business partner Ray Falcone that we started a group of angels in 2014, and then in 2009 called Red Angels. In
Hmm.
2019 we started Core Angels, and we have now 12 angel funds around the globe. And last year we started Y Angel to help angels to do exits and to learn a little bit more about how to become better angels. So that's me. I'm also the vice president for angels at Investors Portugal, the national
Hmm.
association for early stage investors,
Hmm.
VCs and angels mostly. And so I'm the person in charge of angels there.
Wow. Okay, I have so many questions. It's actually crazy right now. So this is the first time we actually have someone in charge of the whole Angel network. So how did you get started with that? How do you even came up with the idea to launch your own, Angel network, and how did it happen?
I think the entire thing about angel investing is that uh, in a moment in time you are inspired by someone else. So I think that's the way most angels start, is because somebody is also doing that,
Hmm.
and you just want to follow those steps. So so when I met Rui in 2013, he was already an angel. I was not.
Hmm.
I was managing my companies, building new startups. And when Rui said it to me and challenged me to, you know, did you think about becoming an angel investor already? And I said, I never thought about it. So come with me. So that's how everything started. So we started investing together in the first startups, and then we started inviting more people to join us, and
Hmm.
we ended up with a group of 66 angels from 11 different countries. So
Okay.
how it all happened, I don't know, but it happened.
Do you think that having the background from the startup world made a difference in your approach as an angel?
Yeah, for sure. I can see mostly three profiles of angels that are investing with us. So
Hmm.
one is the serial entrepreneur that wants to continue that entrepreneurial journey without taking the lead, like without the hustle of not sleeping at night. So I think that those entrepreneurs that want to be part of the next big thing, but supporting someone that is leading and instead of leading themselves.
Hmm.
That's one of the angels profile. So I'm more in that category. Then we have another profile that is more like a C level of a multinational company that is tired of that corporate world, but has some money in the pocket and wants to get involved with innovation and learn about new things and new ways of doing business. And then we have a third that is someone that made money not by being an entrepreneur or by through salary, but because they come from a wealthy family, or because they earn money with cryptos or with poker or whatever
Hmm.
else. A lot of different things, but they are not used to build companies. So those three profiles, they come together, and the beauty of this is that when those different profiles are looking at the same startup,
Hmm.
they see a different thing.
Yeah.
And those different points of view are very interesting to discuss between those different profiles, and learn from each other, because all of them bring different things, and that's interesting. So for me, in my reality, just I was building my startups, my companies, some of them startups, others were not that scalable, if you want. But then when somebody approached me saying, "Oh, do you want to invest in startups? Why not?" And why should I be focusing in my own companies if I can, help others
Hmm.
also to do those companies and being connected with it? So that's the way, it started.
Interesting. And I know from previous conversations, you're very hands-on when it comes to the companies you actually end up investing in. So it's not just here's the money, go and do something with it, go spend it. It's actually here's the money and here's some advice as well with the money, right? So that makes a big difference in these companies, I'm imagining.
Yeah, we usually say that business angels or angel investors, in Europe, we usually call them business angels.
Hmm.
In the United States, it's called angel investors. So I usually say business angel investors or angels, just to make it have. Usually the angels are not investing only money, because if they are investing money only, they are investing in startups. They can invest in crowdfunding and it's
Hmm.
only money, or they can invest in a VC fund and they put the money there and they delegate in a management team all the work. So that management team will select the startups to invest, will
Hmm.
invest in the startups, take care of the entire process, will mentor the startups, make sure the startups grow, and then we'll sell the startups and distribute the results. And the only thing that those LPs, the limited partners, the investors in a venture capital fund, the only thing that they receive is the end results financially and the reports, quarterly reports, or annual reports. They receive reports, and that's it. So when you are an angel investor, it is not about the money game. It is, of course, that if you're investing in startups, you want to sell your shares in the startup for a value that is higher than the money you invested in.
Hmm.
But this is not only about the end result; it is about the journey. So it means that the angels usually invest in the startups the money, but also the time, the expertise they bring from previous experiences, but also the network. So the angels can open doors, facilitate, a meeting with somebody that it is very hard for the startup to get a call with a specific person,
Hmm.
and we can facilitate that. Sometimes, working with a lot of startups, you end up facilitating the entire process because you can share with the entrepreneur, what happened with other startups. Mostly more than the things to do is the things not to do. Like, don't go that path because I saw that before.
Hmm.
So it is not only like advice, but is sometimes it's really hands-on, like going with the entrepreneurs to those calls, to those meetings, and
Hmm.
facilitating the entire process. So yes, it is to be an angel. To become an angel, you need to put more than money. You need to put the money, but you need to put the time, your knowledge, and your contacts to work.
I'm curious because all the Serbs I talk to, they're always very confused on what criteria do VCs have, what criteria do angels have. So my question would be, what criteria do you have as a business angel, and how do you select these companies?
Yeah, we can build a congress out of that, right?
Yeah.
uh, but it really depends on your angel profile. So the first thing I should say about angel investors is it is very diverse. So you
Hmm.
have angel investors that are very motivated by by the potential of that startup. There are business angels that are excited with the social impact the startups can produce. There are angels that are they don't care about the business itself, but they are really looking for incredible founders they want to work with. uh, because if they are building the wrong thing, we together we can pivot that and we can change the business to a better thing. But
Hmm.
they are really looking for incredible people. That there are different profiles, but I would say that it really depends on the stage that you're investing in. If your profile is to take less risk, usually the angels that come from the corporate world, they don't like
Hmm.
the pre-seed startups because it is a chaotic, and it is hard for a person that is used to work with assumptions
Hmm.
to work in a chaotic world. those angels usually they prefer to invest in seed and Series A or pre-Series A, and in that case, you want to look to the to the traction of that startup, like to the proof in the market, and you look more to the business side of things. But for myself, I I prefer to invest in pre-seed. What
Hmm.
I love is to create business, not to manage businesses.
Yeah,
So when a startup starts, going more into the managing side of things, I usually get out because I don't like managing companies. What I like is building new companies.
yeah,
So because I prefer to invest in pre-seed, a lot of times I invest in startups that pre-sales. So when the business model is not yet proven, is not yet designed, we are still figuring it out. So I love that stage because
that's
of
really
that.
risky though. That's very
Yeah,
risky.
it is, but it is very funny. Super exciting because you can really influence, you can be part of it. If the business is already running and you're putting money, you can help on structuring the company, becoming more organized, you can help with the governance, you can help with sales, but all that is very technical, you
Yeah,
know, it's not strategic. So in the very beginning, it is much more interesting, because it is more design thinking if you want. It's more, you need to think about what is needed in the world. You need to think differently, and
mhm.
that freedom of thought, that's what excites me. So in the end, I end up valuing more the people than the business because I have no business to assess, right? Because there is nothing to assess if there is no business yet.
And I guess you probably end up being a lot more passionate about what you're investing in than if you were to invest in later stage. Because later stage, you're concerned about your entry point and your exit point. Whereas in if you go from the beginning, from the inception, from the idea, then it's completely different. You actually do believe in that idea strongly, and you believe that idea is going to make money. So it's a lot of commitment from your end, right?
Yeah, I think if I want just to make bounty out of money,
Hmm.
there are much better options. Um, to become an angel investor is not the easiest way to make money
No.
because you need to put a lot of work, you need
Hmm.
to put a lot of time. So you need to really commit with what you're doing. So there are easier ways to multiply your money. So if you want to engage in the angel world, you should only do that. I usually say to the entrepreneurs that, don't start a startup if you can work for somebody. If
Hmm.
you are okay with working for somebody else, go there and work for them. So if just only commit in with building a startup, if you cannot sleep by not doing that,
Yeah.
only if you can, if there is a bigger force pushing you to do it. So that's the same thing with angel investors. Only if you really need that connection with startups and entrepreneurs, if you need that to be happy, that's the only reason for you to become an angel investor. If you need that, if you like that process, if you like to be involved in that process. So it is a lot of work, but it is not only giving, it
Hmm.
is taking a lot, because you learn a lot from the founders, you learn a lot about new business models, new technologies, new ways of doing things. That's, for me, that's outcome also. The outcome is not only financial outcome, is also outcome.
In how when you're growing core angels, because now it's in different countries, you guys have tons of members. How was that journey like? I mean, was it hard? Was it easy? How did you even get started? Just thinking about the end result, how do you even like came about the product you have now? Not the product, but the network you have now.
It is hard, but not in a bad way. I built companies before, didn't work though. So sometimes you build something that you really believe that is the next thing,
Hmm.
and it really doesn't work. It happens, but that's part of the process. So so when I started Red Angels, I was not certain that it would work. When I started Core Angels, I was not certain that that
Hmm.
would work. So now, last year, I started Y Angel. I didn't know if it was about to become a success or not. So in the end we don't know, and that's why this is so exciting, because you don't know, and you need to really make it happen, right? You need to put the effort to make it happen, and that's the exciting part of building new businesses. So why not I start, but in the end I think that all entrepreneurs in whatever business, if you are only focused on the financial success, you will not succeed. It looks like a common sentence, but saying, if you're focused on the financial outcome, it will not happen, because you will not put enough effort to it.
Mm.
So the only way for you to do it is to have success, is to with the problem you're solving. If you have the commitment to solve that problem, and if that is bigger than you. So I'm not that passionate. I only work with angels, right?
Hmm.
But I'm not that passionate about the change the angels can bring to the world. I don't believe that the angels are the ones that change the world for the better.
Yeah.
What I believe is that the entrepreneurs are the ones that change the world for the better. You know,
Hmm.
those are the ones that build a better world. And I found that one of the main problems of those entrepreneurs is that the angels around them are not experienced, are very amateur, and they do
Hmm.
a lot of mistakes. So the best way I found to help those entrepreneurs was to help the angels to become more professional, to do it right. So the reason why I started Red Angels, why I started Core Angels, and why I started Y Angel is all because I want the angels to become better angels, because the entrepreneurs deserve it.
Interesting.
So when you have that purpose behind,
Hmm.
everything is easier, because even when the things are not going in the direction that you dreamed, you're still passionate about the problem, and you will find a way, because you need to solve it.
I'm curious on one thing. What would you advise? What would you tell to a startup when they're looking out for angels to be on the lookout for? What do you tell them? Hey, actually, you know what? They're going to ask you questions, but you also need to ask A, B, and C questions. So, what will those questions be?
You're referring to the questions that the founders should ask to the angels.
Yes. How would they qualify them as being the type of angels they would want to work with?
I think it doesn't work with the simple questions. I
Hmm.
think um, I usually talk about the probation period. It is the same thing as asking, if you're selecting a female to marry,
Yeah.
which questions you will ask. It's not about the
Well,
specific
criteria,
questions.
right? It's the criteria. What are the traits you look for? What are the key elements you look
Yeah,
for
but
in someone? Yeah.
in the end, it is much more complex. So in the end, you don't want to ask specific questions and
Hmm.
analyze it, completely irrationally, because that's not the way it works. It is more dating that negotiation. It is dating. So because it is dating, the founders should first try to work with that angel. Ask for help. If the angel is not interested in helping, doesn't have the time to help you, if the inputs are not good, if you cannot find a way to work together, forget that angel and go after another one. Is try it out first. It's
Hmm.
like it is dating. It is dating, and for both sides, right? So the angel should date the startup, and the startup should date the angel. And in the end, it only works if both are in love. That's it.
Okay, that's a really nice way of looking at things. Okay, that's quite interesting. So, as a former business owner and obviously as a business angel now, would you advise someone to always go over for angels instead of VC funds, or actually depends on the start, depends on too many things?
It really depends. You know, I should say that if you can do everything yourself, if you can build the next unicorn without angels or VCs,
Hmm.
why should you look for them? You don't need them, right? So
Yeah.
if you can do that by yourself with your team, go, you know, go move forward and do it. So you only need angels or VCs if something is lacking, is missing in your journey. So if you go to VCs, usually the VCs, there are VCs and VCs. There
Hmm.
are bad VCs and good VCs. But for sure, when you go to VCs, you need is because you need a lot of money to invest and to grow, because you
Yep.
cannot grow without that money. So to accelerate your growth, and you know, beyond money, usually the VCs can help you with the next funding rounds. They can help you on structuring more like in the management side of things, like
Hmm.
structuring more your company, the processes, the hiring process, the sales process, the governance, all that stuff. The administrative side of the company. So the VC can usually help you a lot with that. When you're when you're looking for an angel, usually you're looking for an angel in the early stages. And that's because the angels are better on helping you to discover the business. To
Hmm.
They are better on that chaotic moment. The VCs, they don't like that chaotic moment, because usually the people in the VC working with you, they are not entrepreneurs themselves.
Hmm.
Okay, sometimes they have GPs that are entrepreneurs, but the person that will work with you is not an entrepreneur. So because of is more technical person. So when
Yep.
you're looking for angels, you're looking for somebody to discuss strategy with. But it usually is not a person that will help you so much in the technical things, but more in the strategic things. So I would say that that's normal, that in the very beginning, when you're defining the strategy, when you're searching for a business model, the business angel makes more sense.
Yep.
And when you already found the product market fit, and you know what you're doing, but you need to structure better the things and you need more money, going to a VC makes more sense. But of course, I'm generalizing things,
Yep.
because then you have a lot of gray areas, right?
And the question that I get asked a lot on all the events I do and everything is there a better region to be asking money from or to be working from? Because a lot of people in Europe say, let's move to the US. And I literally just had a conversation with the American founder. I actually moved to Lisbon. So, what do you think about this different ecosystems? And is there a better one, or actually it's all the same?
Yeah, there is one that is better than all the others, which is the community you're in.
Okay,
um,
interesting.
well, the thing is that mainly if you are in the very early stages, if you're more like if you're in the later stage, if you're raising a Series A, it is more about your metrics. But in the
Mm.
very early stages, the people that invest in early stages, they tend to invest in proximity. So sometimes I already invested in startups that are in different countries, in other countries that I'm not. But I end up feeling that I cannot build this. I'm not able to build the same type of relationship. That's why most angels invest in 2 hours distance
Mm.
from them, because you want the agility of being with a person. So, so if you're in the very beginning, I would say that if I'm building a new startup now, I will raise the first round in proximity, angels around me, and the second round I will try to have a mix of local and international VCs. So then in Series A, I'm raising internationally, and I don't care anymore about the local investors. So but that's a process. In the very beginning, in the first round, I would say
Mhm.
that the best place to raise is in your local community.
It's a refreshing approach because everyone always thinks that the grass is greener on the other side, but in reality, just start where you're based and then kind of go from there.
Yeah,
And do you,
and talent is really everywhere, everywhere, everywhere. You can find talent in. I don't want to name countries to
Mhm.
put in different polls, but you can find great entrepreneurs everywhere, everywhere. Um, so there is no reason to focus in a specific, because when you go to crowded ecosystems, you not only find more, you find startups that are investment ready, because they have a better ecosystem to help them to become prepared, right?
Mhm.
But then you also find more investors to invest in those startups. So you're looking for a startup that is approaching a blue ocean. Why should you approach a red ocean?
You mentioned something peculiar. At least here in the UK, you have these investment vehicles where it's called the SEIS and EIS, as I'm sure you probably know about them.
Yeah.
And for the audience listening in, it literally means that as an investor, you do recoup some of your losses if they do occur, and you also get some tax deductions. Now, you primarily invest in Portugal, but I know you also invest elsewhere. Are you able to easily find these mechanisms for investment in these countries, or actually they don't exist at all?
No. So the short answer is not at all. So, we now, because I'm the vice president for Angels at Investors Portugal, I'm I'm used to be in meetings discussing with the government fiscal incentives for angels and so on, and
Hmm.
we are right now doing that with the current Portuguese government. And we use, for example, the UK example as a benchmark,
Yeah.
um, because that's one of the reasons why investment in startups exploded so much in countries like UK or Israel, is because of the fiscal incentives.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you have a fiscal incentive to invest in innovative companies instead of investing in real estate, everybody will put the money in innovative startups. But if the fiscal incentive is there to invest in real estate, everybody will invest in real estate. That's the way it works. So right now in Portugal, we don't have a scheme like UK has to really, promote angel investing.
Hmm.
We are working on that. I think next year we will have good news on that. But it is always a fight because we need to prove that this is strategic for the country. Individually, you can move to another country fiscally to have access to those incentives. But I think it makes no sense because I'm really committed to help the Portuguese startup ecosystem to improve and to grow. So I really want to contribute locally. So
It's funny we're talking about the Portuguese ecosystem because a couple of years ago they actually changed how hard it is, or how it became quite easy to create a company. It's still not as easy as it is in the UK, where you can just do it all online and it costs £14 and ta-da, you have a limited company. How big of a role does that play in your day to day? The complexities of the legal system when it comes down to investing, especially angel investing.
you know in um, in Portugal, it is pretty easy. So if you go to Spain, that is right there,
Yeah.
it is much more bureaucratic and complicated. So Portugal is not Estonia
Hmm.
yet in that sense. Estonia should, maybe is the easiest place, to set up a company and to avoid bureaucracy.
Hmm.
But we are not there. But it is pretty good, so I can't complain. So of course that sometimes you have bureaucracy in different things, but it is not anymore like we were used to 10 or 15 years ago. It is much more straightforward. So I think Portugal improved a lot on that. So it is
Hmm.
much easier to do business in Portugal now than it was 10 years ago. I think it is a good place to set up a company. That's why, one thing I'm seeing is that a lot of foreign entrepreneurs coming to Portugal to set up their startups. Not only because of the startup ecosystem, because Portugal became like a hub. When you
Hmm.
come to Portugal with your startup, you will end up in an event that most people are not Portuguese.
Yep,
So
that is very true.
most founders are not Portuguese, most investors are not Portuguese, so it is
Yep.
like an international hub now.
Hmm.
So I think it is not about the Portuguese people anymore. It is about the entire ecosystem that the Portuguese people, of course, contribute to, but a lot of other people contribute to. And now it is pretty easy to do business in Portugal.
Do you think overall it became this very fluid ecosystem where things move quickly and people are creating a lot of stuff from your experience and from the startups you meet?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I think it is always, of course, the if you are in a crisis, the context is important. If you are in a financial crisis, everybody starts building businesses. When things are comfortable, people get comfortable, and we are pretty we are the Portuguese are very adaptable. It means that we can adapt. If things are good, we are good. If things are not good, we just get our hands dirty. So that's how it works. We want to do something, we get it done. So it's more like I would say that it is very fluid. Like a lot of people is doing completely different things. It was not like that. You know, that the cultural environment in Portugal was like, you know, go to a big corporate and find a good job for the entire life. It is not like that anymore. You know, people want to build great things and want to work for interesting companies, and not anymore that those stable big corps.
I guess they're more willing to take risks, right? Which is
Yep,
a big difference.
I
It's
think
funny
no.
because when I talk with, for example, people from Spain, they always say the same thing, which is like they still don't have the mentality where it's actually worth moving away from a big company and a very nice salary and all the comforts it brings to launch your own business. They still say, why would you do that? You're so comfortable here. Why would you go and risk it all to launch a startup? But then that's because maybe there's no culture of rewarding, I guess, risk as a whole, as a country. So that probably plays a big role in it, doesn't it?
Yep, I agree, but I think that, of course, the culture of each country plays a role there. But I think also, you know, the international context,
Hmm.
the cycles play a role. So in the same country, you can see that culture is changing in 5 years because the context changed. So, you know, I think it is not. We cannot say that this country is like that and that country is like this, because things are evolving a lot. For example, in Spain, that
Hmm.
we mentioned before, in Spain things are evolving pretty well. So not only on the political side, they have a new startup law that is
Yeah.
favorable for startups. Also, Portugal launched the new startup law that is interesting for startups. So, you know, in Spain, they are now, you know, I think getting back to it, because they were sleeping on the entrepreneurial plan
Hmm.
during a lot of time, but they are now they waked up and they are doing the right things. So I'm pretty confident on the Spanish ecosystem now also.
Do you think overall is it still, a lot of people complain that it's very hard to raise money nowadays? Do you think it's hard, or quite on the contrary, it's moving around?
The money is around, right? And you see, you know, you see in the reports, you don't see the amount, the total amount of money invested by angels is not fluctuating a lot. So these economic cycles, they affect more the VC investment.
Hmm.
So you can say that nowadays it is harder to raise Series B or Series C rounds, and
Yeah.
you had a lot of down rounds, because 2018, 2019, the valuations were crazy, and then COVID came and all the uncertainty, and you know, the valuations came down because the money was not so available. Maybe in 2021 it was
Hmm.
a very bad year for that, but you know, the angels were more stable
Hmm.
because angels don't fundraise. You know, the VCs are fundraising from
Yeah.
LPs. The angels don't. The angels, you know, not it's not because the economic cycle is changing that the angels have less money or more money. You know, is the money is already there. So it is not changing that much on the angel side. So it is still, I should say, easy or difficult, but not different from what it was before to raise the first two rounds. I think after Series A, it got more difficult to raise bigger rounds. And I see one interesting trend is startups raising two or three rounds and then doing the exit instead of raising a lot of rounds.
Hmm.
Because you can, you know, when your startup valuation is around 20 million, 50 million,
Hmm.
you have uh, much more potential buyers,
Yeah.
acquirers for your company. When you are a unicorn, you know, the possible acquirers are much less because all the others, they cannot pay that value, that amount.
That's also
So
true. Yeah.
I see a lot of startups exiting in the 20 million to 50 million interval. And that's interesting because you can raise 2, 3 rounds and exit instead of fighting for the long run, for the home run, right?
But it's. I mean, every time you see someone IPOing, and there's been so many cases of that, it's very much hit or miss, isn't it? Yeah, there have been amazing success stories, but there's also been really bad ones where you just think this didn't work. Actually, mentioning work, WeWork was, it's a very well known example where the valuation was crazy, but then we went to Mark, was like, hold on, you guys are not a tech company at all. How can you be justifying and saying you're a tech company?
Yeah.
So that did actually happen a couple of times already. So yeah, it's an interesting one. One final question, which is if people want to reach out to you and talk to you, and I'm pretty sure you're gonna get a lot of startups after this. How can you do so?
I think that the easiest way is through LinkedIn. Pedro Bandeira on LinkedIn. There are not a lot of Pedro Bandeiras around, so kind of easy to find. Or through Red Angels or Core Angels or Y Angel, you can also always reach me. But the easiest way, the more direct way, is through LinkedIn.
Pedro, thank you so much for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure.
No, thank you very much, Ricardo. It was very cool to chat with you. Very good conversation. Thank you.